Did you know that any water-based marker can be used as a watercolor marker? These Koi watercolor brush pens are markers that can be used both ways. You can use them dry or you can use them with watercolor. And they're marketed especially to be watercolor markers. I'm Jenny and I help you reconnect with your color creativity by showing you all the colors and how to use them. And today we're going to learn how to use the Koi watercolor brush pens. There are 48 vibrant colors. Let's look at this. It says water-based dye stuff ink. And I'm not sure on the archivalness of this or the light fastness of it, so you'd have to experiment by putting these in a window and seeing if it fades over time. Students, graphic artists, designers, illustrators, architects, cartoonists. It has the number here and it also has the name, and then it has an individual barcode, meaning that they're usually sold individually. One of the best things about this marker is that they have a nylon brush nib. So that way you can brush the markers on, you can achieve lettering effects, you can color in lots of areas really quickly with the brush. You can also make super thin lines. I was so grateful to receive these from Sakura from Creativation, and they gave them to me to show them to you guys. When I got them, they were the demonstration markers, so there was a possibility that some of the colors might not be there. So I swatched them out really quick to see what colors weren't there. The rose red was a color that wasn't there. So I went onto blick.com, which is awesome because they have a lot of the colors where you can buy them individually. And I bought the rose red, and then it came in a box with some other items, including these Inktense blocks that I'll show you at another time. And I was able to have the complete set. So that's one good thing going for these markers right now, is that you can buy them individually when you run out, which is not always the case with all markers. Some of the things that you can do with these markers include lettering, rubber stamping, where you draw on the back of a stamp and you press it down, ombre effects, MAGA art, illustration. There's so many different ways to use them, and watercolor is so versatile. And what you can do is, if you use the color, it can become varying degrees. So it can be super dark or super light depending on how much water you put with it. And here's an example of something that I made with this marker. I only used one color, but I showed you various different ways that you can use it. I have these two watercolor papers from Ninja. So we have the hot pressed and the cold press. I think cold press is more forgiving, so we're going to use this one. First off, I'm going to draw the border, and I'm just going to draw lines, and they don't have to be straight. They can be random because these are going to get colored over or watered over with the watercolor. And so just draw some lines. Then I'm going to fill them in with some watercolor, and this is where you can just have fun and you bring that watercolor in. So you're going to have the whole background be this color, but you're going to bring it in. So I got it wet and then I brought it in all over. And by the end, the ink was all over the paper, the dye was all over the paper, and I let it dry. Part of the fun with watercolor is all the magic of the water. You don't do a lot of it, you just let it be. And it dries by itself and it looks amazing. Now I'm going to use some rubber stamps to put a flower on this page now that I have a background, and it's really pretty. So I'm just going to draw right on the back of the stamp, and I'm going to put it on the paper. And voila, you have a perfect stamp. You have a perfect flower without having to draw it. I do wish that I had put it a little bit more in the center, but oh well. I'm going to do the same thing with the stem. I'm going to put the marker on it, and then I'm going to stamp it. Next up, I'm going to write Cruel Summer with the marker, and it's the same color but a lot darker on this paper. So look at how dark that looks. I decided to fill the flower more in because I didn't see that it looked that great next to the Cruel Summer. So I really want them to look similar. And that's part of experimenting, is going through and saying, okay, how can I make this look better? And then also knowing when to stop, because sometimes you're like, go a little overboard, or like, oh, should I have done more? Like, I kind of wonder, should I have done some watercolor on this flower, or should I have left it alone? I decided to leave it alone and not watercolor these darker ones, but I wonder if I should have. Now I'm going to draw in this tray. This tray is from Yasutomo. And this is another way to use watercolor, that you drop some water in there. And I am actually going to flick it onto this page. So I'm just going to come over and here and flick it, and it'll give a little bit, you know, of dimensionality to the page. I don't know what had more ink on it, my finger or the page, but my finger got pretty, I think this is irisy. The last thing that I did is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go over it with a black fine liner. A black fine liner is such a friend. Like, it is an accent. It just helps pop things. It is a great accent to use with any sort of drawing. And here's the end product. What do you guys think? I love the border and I love the flicks on the paper. I love that stamp. It makes me want to get more stamps. It's cool because it's like monochromatic, but we have, obviously you can see Cruel Summer, but there's a background, it's not white. And now we're going to swatch all the colors that come in this pack. All right, well, we are going to go through these. All these are so pretty. We'll just kind of arrange them. I have them arranged by color order in here, which is really nice to be able to keep them in the tins they're supposed to go in. And then, so they're at least a little bit by color order. And then I can pull them out as I need to. So I have this brush that looks like this, and don't worry, I use it a lot. These are from Yasutomo, and I'll give you the link. And then I have a paper towel that I'm gonna, like, I'll do this and then I'll blot it. So this is really nice because you can squeeze water out onto your watercolor. So we will look and see what it looks like. And watercolor is always a lot less intense than the original color. What you really look for with watercolor is that it spreads easily, right? I don't know if this is the best paper. I actually want to do a video with all the different watercolor papers, which I do have. But that is it's super pretty, and watercolor is not super, like I said, not super intense. It's supposed to be a little bit muted. But then, so I'll do that maybe, that big of squares. And then I just pat it on here until the color runs. I'm gonna probably have to put more color in here. The other option is you could use like a brush that's wet also. So I'm gonna want to label this one after I do it. Here's my microns. I love microns. I actually took a bunch of these to work, and I have found that they over time do dry out, but that's one thing I think really that I found. So I officially started over because it was going to be really big. I wouldn't be able to fit it on one sheet. So now I know how much ink. These have a ton of ink in them. So what you're going to do, yeah. So now we're going to come over here. You just press it down, get the ink out. I just want to be able to do these all on one page. Okay, that's cute. And then you're going to come over here and just blot it out. So you can see some of the, where I colored down, you can still see it. It's, it doesn't quite come off of that area. So you just work with it. You can also use these on like another page, like another surface, and then bring it over so then you wouldn't get that mark. And I can show you that later. I'm just gonna go over this because this one's pretty light. That one's like a lot more orange than I thought. So some of these are definitely lighter than the others. So if you do the swatches, you'll know. So pretty. This one's super light. So it's good to know this one would be definitely an accent, whereas this pink is not. Wow, I can barely see that one. I'm gonna try a little bit more. So this one's, oh, this one's lilac. Just putting a little bit more in there so we can get a little bit more color. Okay, maybe that, let's see. Did that help? Not really, right? Try to spread it around. I love the way watercolor looks. So this one ended up being like more of an orangey color to me. So that's cool. It creates like this. This one has a lot of pigment. So definitely some of these have more pigment than others. I just love watercolor. Okay. And it's kind of hard to fix watercolor, I would say. You just work with it, you practice, and that's why doing these swatches is great, because then you get an idea of how the color works, and what it looks like when it goes down onto the paper. Look how beautiful that is. So super pretty. So some of these that didn't look like it was showing up, they showed up later. So we'll see if this one shows up. See, I think they tend to dry a little darker than what they are on the paper. Pale orange. I would say that's pale orange, but that's interesting. So if you spread it good enough, you can't really tell at the end. So pretty. I love watercolor. So on the ones I think are lighter, I've been kind of double doing it just so it'll show up a little bit better. I love the gradients that you get with watercolors. That one is such a pretty yellow. Okay, deep yellow. Oh, it looks brown. I should have left that one with the browns. Oh well. It was like dark at first and then it goes light. All right, now we're on to the greens. It looks like it's going to be dark. We'll see. I feel like they come out dark, but look at how light they end up. They're so pretty. Yeah, I really shouldn't have had this one in here. Oh well. Okay, this one is yellow green. Okay, that one got a little extra water on it. This one almost looks like it's a different color. So pretty. Watercolors are just so relaxing. Meridian. I almost feel like this is more aqua blue. Look at how pretty these are. Oh my gosh. Still blue. This one's gonna be super light. Oh, yep. We've got one last blue before we start on the purples. Oh, that one looks blue. It is probably. I could probably put that with the blue one. Super dark. Oh my gosh, look at that. It just moves. The pigment just goes where you want it to go. So pretty. I feel like the colors in this palette are super pretty. Oh my gosh. Prussian blue. Oh gosh.
I'm dying here how pretty these are. That one's definitely more of a red. For sure. Uh-oh, I forgot to write the name of that other one. So you can see I gave that one a little bit more color. They spread so different, like the amount of color of water. I mean, you give them, just depends. Watercolors are so awesome. I just love them. So this one's light purple. It's a little bit more red than that one. And then this one was Bordeaux. Oh my gosh, so much pigment on that one. And I did a big line. Iris. That is not what I want to write with. Oh, that one almost looks brown. Good transition for the next color. Oh, I didn't write that one down yet. Burgundy. So we've got some more browns and then lots and lots and lots of grays, which I'm surprised about because there is a lot of grays in here. For how big the color palette is, there's a lot of grays. How pretty is that? So stinking pretty. Oh my gosh, I love it. Sorry if you guys can hear a few things. My kids are at home right now. Tried to get this done earlier. Okay. You know, I shouldn't be surprised by how many grays there are because this is Micron and they are really good at making black pens. So I have a lot of grays that would be on brand with them. Well, it's actually Sakura, not Micron, that makes these. Okay, but Sakura is like the whole brand together. Okay, I didn't get the last of those colored in, but here is the rest of them. Here are all the swatches that we have for these colors. They are beautiful. Look at how vibrant these colors are. And then we have some that aren't as vibrant, but you can definitely see them. It wasn't easy seeing them when we were putting them down. You do see some of them. You can still see the marks of the marker. We'll have to see when it's completely dry if that goes away, but like this one didn't really go away, but some of these did. So you'll just have to learn them and see how to do that. So maybe it won't show as much. I started doing like the width of it and then spreading it over, so then you get like this gradient that's going across. If you're putting this together, I would recommend like doing these off to the side and maybe using the brush to fill these in, because then you'd really get the like watercolor effect instead of what these are just by themselves. But you could use these, like this is the background and this on top. So many different uses for these. It's so amazing, and I love all these colors. A new segment that we're doing at the end of the video, things I learned. One of the first things that I learned is that I definitely prefer the colors to be in alphabetical order, so that way they're easier to take out. And then also in that token, I prefer my swatch chart to be in color order. I will say I don't really love this swatch, but it doesn't look like it's like in super color order. I would have done it like this, then you would really see the rainbow. Can you see how much prettier they are when they're in color order? Another thing that I learned is I prefer these markers as watercolor markers as opposed to just using them straight. So definitely always using them as watercolor markers because they are so pretty. The next thing is that these colors are super vibrant and I will definitely be using them again. I hope you guys have a great day and we'll see you in the next video.